Good mental health is a fundamental human right that provides the resilience needed to navigate life's transitions. You put all those pieces together, and then you got yourself a masterpiece. One masterpiece once it's done, once it's complete. And if you think about life and how we have to navigate life through grief, through job loss, through divorce, through career change, through golly, just scrolling through Facebook and seeing page after page of someone that's grieving or have lost a loved one unexpectedly. Those are the hardest. On the contrary, we can let all of this just consume us in terms of how we function, how we react. We can navigate all of this. Are you ready to pull off the impossible or achieve the biggest comeback ever in your business or life? You can do it, but you need mental toughness. My new ebook with the same title explores how to thrive under pressure, lead with strength and resilience, power through adversity, and transform yourself into an unstoppable force. Grab your copy of my ebook today. The Stand Store link is in my comments or my bio.
Reset to Reinvent Podcast was created for women navigating life's toughest challenges, and she's ready to rebuild and thrive. It is for the woman whose life has been interrupted by loss of any kind: a loved one, a career, a marriage, a diagnosis, an identity. Hi, I'm your host and your problem solver, Helen Blocker Adams. And each episode, my guests and I inspire and empower. We offer hope, guidance, and actionable strategies for resilience. Let's get ready for Reset to Reinvent Podcast, where your hardest chapter becomes your greatest comeback.
Hello, and welcome to episode 69 of Reset to Reinvent Podcast, where your hardest chapter can become your greatest comeback. I am your host and your problem solver, Helen Blocker Adams. Episode 69. You know what I thought about as I was getting ready to start recording this episode? I'm like 69 episodes in. Now, the name of my podcast is Reset to Reinvent. And, when I thought about the name of this episode, the name of my podcast, it was based on me, my experiences, the fact that I've had to reset and reinvent myself so many times. And I know how to do that. And I didn't have anything on paper in terms of a strategy and how did I do it and how am I able to just rebound so quickly and get refocused and keep moving on almost as if nothing had happened. I never really thought about, how much this affected my mental. I wasn't really thinking about those things as I came up with the name of my podcast. And a lot has happened in the past 69. So we're talking 69 weeks, okay? Because we have, for 69 weeks, published brand new episodes, okay? Each Monday. And so when I think about Reset to Reinvent, empowers women to rebuild and thrive after life's toughest challenges by providing inspiration, guidance, and actionable strategies for resilience. And so when I think about all of those words, when I think about thriving, what does it take to thrive? You've got to be resilient. You've got to have faith. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have support group. You got to have, sometimes you might need some type of professional counseling. And then as I think about, okay, the month of July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, it seems like every month it's tied in with something dealing with health, mental well-being. It's almost like a pattern there. And it's like, So reset to reinvent. Even though 69 episodes ago, I wasn't really thinking about health, wellness per se, mental health, mental wellness, self-care, which I have discovered this whole wellness industry, health and wellness and self-care is let's see where my notes at, a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar wellness and health market is a multi-billion-dollar market. And if you think about it, even with the healthcare, Medicare, insurance companies that are laying off agents, that are reducing contracts, there's something going on here. Now, this episode isn't about figuring out all of that and what that all means. But what I can say is that we're on the right track here with Reset to Reinvent. We're on the right track. And what I realized as I was putting my thoughts for this episode and then tying in with National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And of course, all of you know by now that I am definitely an advocate for mental health and have been for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I have a prize, a recognition that I received from the Mental Health of America, the local chapter here in Georgia. And it was in the shape of a microphone, because at that time I was hosting a nightly 3-hour talk radio show. And I received that Mental Health Advocate Award, which was really one of my most treasured awards that I've ever received. And this was in 2013. So I'm not new when it comes to talking about advocating for mental health. And so when I think about the name Reset to Reinvent, I'm like, man, that is about mental health. Because what is it when you reset? What do? You're starting over. You're stepping back. You're looking at where you are. You're looking at where you came from. You're starting over again, or you're starting another chapter. You're figuring out a way to get to the next step. And that's what reset is all about. And reinvent. A lot of times we're having to reinvent ourselves. And so it's just kind of funny how all of it just kind of starting to come to a head in terms of what we want to do here, what we're trying to do here, whether it's me as a solo episode or having a guest. We want you to see and be inspired. We want you to have information that you can put your hands on, strategies that you can implement and employ right away so that you can be better and do better and have better mental well-being. We want to do that. I mean, that's just every time I record an episode, every time I think about a guest for Reset to Reinvent podcast, that's what's on my mind. How can I impact somebody that is watching or listening to this podcast? I don't want it to just be just willy-nilly, just, whatever. No, I want to impact you. I want you to be impacted. I want you to have a better life. I want you to thrive. I want you to have better mental health. I want you to have more self-care. I'm trying to do more with self-care. We all should. And so I thought about, there's grief, there's mental health, and reset. Grief, mental health, reset. And, I've mentioned to you a couple of times about my reset program, my reset method that I've implemented. And it's a framework that incorporates 5 different strategies. And I'm not going to talk about it in detail here, but I would like for you to go to unusualdetermination.com and look at our coaching program. Okay. Unusualdetermination.com. I'm tongue-tied today, y'all. Unusualdetermination.com. Go to that website and check it out. So we do have a coaching program that deals with and addresses our reset method. I love to be able to help you. Send me an email or go in the contact page and say, hey, look, Ellen, I'd like to sit down and talk with you, or talk with you over the phone with a one-on-one. We got a free consultation so that we can see how we can help you. Okay. We want to help your mental health. And so I thought about it. I said, you know what? Well, what does mental health mean? Okay. Mental health encompasses your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. That's all of us. That's all of us. It determines how you handle stress, relate to others, make choices, and realize your abilities. Far more than just the absence of illness. We think about mental health and mental wellness, mental health. We're automatically thinking something is wrong. No, mental health is it's all of that. How we handle stress, our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So if you think about it, all of us should be concerned about our mental well-being. But there's such a negative stigma as it relates to about mental health, mental well-being. We lock people into a corner, into a little size of a thumbnail, and that's not the way it should be, because I think we can all agree there's a lot of craziness going on in the world. There seems like, to me, more dying, here in the Augusta area, there have been more crashes, automobile wrecks. Some of them where there's been a collision of vehicles, some of them single crash incidents where people have died right there on the spot, left home that morning or on their way home from work, and they're gone, just like that. And so incidents like that, whether you know the person or not, when you read about it or when you see the vehicle that's all smashed and crashed and smashed up, you can't help but feel for the families that's having to experience that. And that impacts our mental, y'all. Unless you're just a rock and have no feeling at all, how can you not feel when you hear about things like this? And so on a daily basis, we've got to focus and work on our mental. And for some people, it's a combination of things. So we'll talk about a few things as we go along. Okay, so emotional, the core components that I just mentioned, the emotional, psychological, and social well-being, mental health. Emotional is how you process, regulate, and express your feelings. Okay. Psychological is your ability to think clearly, solve problems, cope with stress, and maintain a sense of purpose. Social is your capacity to build meaningful relationships, connect with others, and contribute to your community. So here the question becomes, well, why does mental health matter? Now we know that's kind of a silly question, right? It really is. It does matter because as you and I'm saying these things because once again, when I think back 69 episodes ago, I wasn't thinking about how much Reset to Reinvent is about mental well-being, mental health, about taking care of ourselves, dealing with our mental, and how thriving and inspiration and guidance and dealing with life's toughest challenges, all of that is directly tied in with mental being, mental well-being, self-care. Oh my goodness. I said, we're on to something here because we want to make an impact. Okay. Now I know we've been making an impact, but I just learned, I've been a part of the My Seven Figure podcast coaching group with David Shands and a few others, but he is the person who runs this. And I've learned, and in terms of um, your podcast, who your market is, who your target is, who you're talking to, and what is your mission, what impact do you want to make, who are you, do what you are, what you've experienced is you're directly tying in to what you're talking about every week. And we got it right with the Reset to Reinvent. I just didn't know how much now as we do this week by week by week. And as I do my research, as I'm reading, as I'm studying, I constantly want to do better. And all of us, in whatever you do in life, you want to constantly do better. You want to be better. You can't do better if you're not better yourself. And that's where that mental well-being comes into play. And it's like, wow, this is some good stuff. Okay. Hope you're getting something out of this. I know I am. Okay. So mental health, why it matters. Mental health is directly linked to physical health. I mean, how many fitness places have you seen pop up? Even here we are in July. There's still new fitness places popping up. Now, they're all not necessarily Planet Fitness. I'm noticing here in Augusta, there's more and more specialized fitness places opening up, more specialized for women 40 years old and up. Because some of the needs that we have as 40 plus is much different than someone 20 or 25. Okay, our bodies are different, our whole, we're different, our needs are different. And so mental health is directly linked to physical health, and chronic stress or untreated conditions like depression can increase the risk of physical issues like heart disease. So when we think about heart disease, that's a physical health. That's physical health dealing with your heart. Physical vitality supports psychological wellness. So you see how these connecting these dots? Okay, so you got physical health that can impact your psychological wellness. Because think about it, some of you know good and well you don't exercise enough. You really don't. Um, no excuses. It is what it is. But I gotta do better. But I have people around me, people in my circle, people in my close circle that kind of nudges me. Hey Helen, you done your walk? Because I've created a walking trail in my backyard, if you will. So that really, there's really, really, really no excuse for me not to get out and walk more. Okay. Um, Now I have been doing some better things. I've got my producer that's got me watching what I'm eating in terms of sugar. Okay. You'll be surprised how many different things we eat and drink. Everything from Gatorade. I got ready to pick up a bottle of Gatorade at my church last week after church service. And I looked at the sugar grams and it was a big bottle. It was like 35 grams of sugar. I put it right back and got some bottled water. And so when I'm finding that I am shedding a few pounds because I am watching my sugar intake, okay? And once you become more and more conscious of it, then, you just do better. Okay. So I know that's something I've got to do better. Okay. I know. But I know I'm not the only one either. Mm-mm. Okay. Physical vitality supports psychological wellness. Good mental health is a fundamental human right that provides the resilience needed to navigate life transitions. Y'all, excuse me, I've got a little sore on my tongue, so it's making me talk kind of weird. I got to read this again because when I read this, I'm like, this is directly tied into what the mission of Reset to Reinvent is all about. Good mental health is a fundamental human right that provides the resilience needed to navigate life's transitions. Have you ever built a puzzle? I love building puzzles. I've got a puzzle now that the box is unopened. I've got to get me a table where I can build this puzzle and not have to move it. But there's so many pieces to puzzles, and you put all those pieces together, and then you've got yourself a masterpiece. One masterpiece once it's done, once it's complete. And if you think about life and how we have to navigate life through grief, through job loss, through divorce, through career change, through golly, just scrolling through Facebook and seeing page after page of someone that's grieving or have lost a loved one unexpectedly. Those are the hardest. Or you're seeing a report of a crash, and in your mind you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's on such a location of town, which is near where I live or whatever, and you're automatically thinking, is it someone that I know? That's causing a lot of stress. And so we've got to navigate that. Somehow in the course of a day, we've got to navigate that. Now, on the contrary, we can let all of this just consume us in terms of how we function, how we react. It's not good. It's where you might need to seek a deeper type of counseling. Okay. But I want to share with you that we can navigate all of this. Okay. So here it goes on to say that maintaining and seeking support for your mental health. These are some things that you can do. We're in the middle of July. Well, actually the beginning of July, National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And once again, every month there's some type of an awareness about something dealing with health. And I clearly know that a part of our mission as we talk to women 40 to 65 years old, for the most part, there's some stuff that we experience that some of the young bloods don't. And we've got to deal with that, because if we do better, we'll be better. We want to be better. We want to do and be better. That may not have been grammatically correct, but I hope you feel my heart here. Mental health exists on a continuum. And that's what I'm saying. It's daily. This is like, hopefully, prayerfully, every morning you're getting up and you're reading the word. As a matter of fact, if you can pick up that Bible and have it next to your bed, or say a deep prayer and talk to God first, man, that is the first thing that can really get your day going in the right direction. Or whatever your source is that's higher than you. Because I can tell you something that will impact your mental. Go ahead and pick up that phone and start scrolling through to see if maybe somebody texts you overnight, or you're going and heaven forbid you're getting on social media as soon as you wake up. Oh my gosh, you've already blown it. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You have already blown your day, because there's going to be some stuff, whether it's drama or something that's just going to mess with your head first thing in the morning. So why not the first thing in the morning? Do you not want to pick up the word and get God in you to give you that feeling that, yeah, okay, I can do this, Lord. I'm telling you, that's what I do. I'm telling you, you really need to do that. Try it. Try it, and then send me an email to reset to reinvent at gmail.com and tell me what a difference it made in your day. Okay. Now, let me be clear. That doesn't mean that some drama and some stuff is going to happen on that particular day, but how you deal with it will make the difference. I'm telling you. I'm not telling you what I read. I'm telling you what I know. I have learned a lot about myself in 67 years. And I definitely have learned a lot over the past 69 episodes. Maintaining and seeking support. Mental health exists on a continuum and fluctuates based on individual, social, and environmental factors. Everyday self-care. Every day. That's just like reading the word. Every day. Get up in the morning. Every day. Before you get up out of bed. Every day. Read the word. Read a devotion, maybe your favorite devotion, or there's certain scriptures. I think I'm going to include that somewhere. I don't know. I'm going to put it somewhere. Some of my favorite scriptures. I may just add it to my website so that you'll know my go-to. I have some go-to scriptures that just give me peace and keep me focused on Him, because it's easy to get distracted and let life just suck you up. And before you know it, you've gone down this rabbit hole and it's hard to come back out. We don't want you to go there. Okay. Everyday self-care, such as getting restorative sleep, not 2 or 3 hours, not tossing and turning sleep, but a good deep sleep. Now, sometimes we might need a little help, like melatonin. I do take that sometimes, and that gives me a deep sleep. And that's a natural product. Okay, but talk to your doctor about something else that you might need as a sleep aid. Everyday self-care, a balanced diet. Now, I have to admit, I'm pretty good with the balanced diet. I do like to cook. I'm not a gourmet cooker or anything, but I do like to cook, and I like to prepare my food, saute the vegetables, and I rarely fry anything. I can't remember the last time I, got grease out there and just fried something. Now, every now and then I do like to go and have my fried chicken for Popeyes, but it's been several months since I've done that, so okay. A balanced diet and regular exercise. Here we go again. Regular exercise. All of these things, getting enough sleep, a balanced diet, and regular exercise, it promotes well-being. Well-being, we're talking about your mental health, psychological, and social. They all come together like pieces of a puzzle. Okay. And so we're talking about mental health. We're talking about resetting, and the grief part, which I'm going to touch on in just a moment, is and I've got to say this part here. So when symptoms are persistent, and when I mean symptoms, we're talking about your well-being. And you think about symptoms that are just, you're just struggling. You're not able to sleep. You're snapping at people. You're out of character. You're affected more than usual when you see or hear about something that's catastrophic. When you just notice there's something different about you and it persists, more than 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks, it's just going on and on and on. That's where there's some professional help that might be needed. Okay. So when symptoms are persistent and they interfere with your daily functioning, it may indicate a mental health condition like anxiety or depression. Okay, so professional care, therapy, and medical support are highly effective. And that's where you can go to someone who can be able to help you in that regard. And, I don't have anything right off, but maybe in one of my later episodes this month, maybe I can have a list of some recommendations. But, you can Google, and that's what I recommend you do, because I don't have one preference over another. But what you can Google for Chat GPT, uh, therapists in your geographic area. That's if you feel like that's needed. Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about regarding mental health. Now, when I think about the word reset, and of course, reset, to reinvent. So think about it. Reset means to set, to adjust or fix something or move something, or make something in a different way. And think about it. If you're dealing with self-care and you're regularly exercising, if you are watching the sugar grams in everything you eat and drink and you're minimizing them, you're going to lose some weight. I mean, that's biology. You just can't help but do that. So now you're resetting your body. You're resetting your mental health because you're feeling better about yourself. You got clothes in your closet. Ladies, we have 2 or 3 sizes in our wardrobe, right? Okay, y'all feel me? Yeah. We got 2 or 3 sizes in our wardrobe. And let us get back to wardrobe number 1. Ooh, can't tell you nothing now. All right. So resetting is all of those things. You're making a change. You're making an impact in your body and your mind. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to reset. We want you to have better mental health. And when I think about the reset method that I created it from grief. And as I did, and and some of you might remember when a couple of months ago, I literally just had to come to a full revelation, if you will, of the impact of the loss of my sister and my oldest niece and my youngest niece, and my father, and how all of that made an impact on me that I really had never really just put my hands on. And so this reset method, which you'll get more information, you can get more information about that if you go to unusualdetermination.com. Okay. I built it from grief. as I was putting it together. But then I thought, the grief of losing people who were the pillars of your life, your world, that makes an impact. But check this out. There's grief when you lose a career like I did that I had built for 10 years and it was crumbled, pulled out from under my feet. Or losing a version of yourself that you didn't realize you were attached to. You can be with a company, for example, for all of these years, and you're the director of whatever. And there's been a lot of layoffs, a lot of jobs just cut, due to a variety of reasons. Okay. And all of a sudden you're waking up and you're no longer the director of whatever. And you're having to reinvent yourself. You're having to reset yourself. And you're like, that's grief. That's painful. It's dealing with your mental. It's dealing with your psychic. You can't function because you're no longer the director of, you're now Helen Blocker Adams. You're now Susie Wells. You're now whatever that name is. You're no longer that, who you were or thought you were, because too many of us, we tend to identify ourselves with the title that we have at our job. And then when we no longer have that job, it's like, well, who am I? And that's a real thing. And I'm not mad at you, but we got to fix that. And that's what the reset method does. Okay. And so here's what I discovered. The process of building this framework of the reset method and living it is that grief is not only for the death of a person, the death of any of those things. And so when you go through that particular program that I've created, you're going to get better. Yeah, we're going to all do better. So I really want you to check it out, the reset method. Go to unusualdetermination.com. Okay. I want you to go to unusualdetermination.com. We're going to wrap up in a moment. But I want to share with you, as we are celebrating and recognizing the month of July as National Minority Mental Health and Wellness Month, I'm really excited about this wellness journey feature that I have started. And we're getting sponsors for it. And so our first sponsor, so that I want to recognize her, is called Soul Made Sanctuary. She's based in Aiken. And it's a gentle, trauma-informed wellness space that's located in Aiken, South Carolina. And it's called Soul Made Sanctuary. They're one of our first sponsors for this wellness journey feature. And so I want you to go to our Reset to Reinvent website, resetreinvent.com website, and check out our sponsors page. And there's more information about how you can get to her, how you can get to her website and get more information about what she does, because her business is all about health and wellness and mental well-being. So I'm really excited about that. We've got more that I'm going to be sharing. And as you go back to our website from time to time, especially through the month of July, you're going to see more sponsors that we're going to be featuring. Okay. So are you guys good? Are you good? How's your mental health? How's your mental well-being? Could it be better? Remember, it is a daily thing. It's a daily activity. And it doesn't have to be like a terrible job, a terrible job is like, oh, I got to get up Monday morning. Oh, I got to get up Tuesday morning. Oh, I got to go to work. But no, your mental well-being, your mental health, we should get excited about it, because There's only one you. Once you're gone, you're gone. And so many people are going to miss you. So we don't want you to leave yet, physically or mentally. So let's work on that mental health. Okay? Let's really work on that mental health. Can we agree on that? Can we do some things better? Can we find some ways to reduce stress? Exercising. And there is nothing rocket science that I have shared with you today. It's kind of like a reminder. And we all need reminders, because think about it. When you equate this to commercials that we see, whether it's on TV or even if you see billboards or on radio and you hear commercials and it's the same companies that's been around like forever. Like, one would think, why does McDonald's still have to advertise? Everybody's familiar with McDonald's. Everybody knows McDonald's. You got the Golden Arches, McDonald's. Because there's competition. Because they want to stay in your face. They want to make sure that you don't forget that they have the best fries and hamburgers and all the other things that they have. Definitely the fries are on point. Okay. So when it comes to this mental health and self-care, I've got a friend, my girl Kenya, she has no problem sending me a nudge about me getting my daily walk. And that's basically having an accountability partner. And that's really very helpful. She's not trying to shame me or anything by any means. She's just trying to just give me that little nudge because she knows I need it. Once you recognize you need some stuff to be able to help you, give you that nudge, then accept it, embrace it. That's going to help your well-being, your mental well-being. So if you are struggling with whether it's your weight or not getting enough rest or not exercising enough, or for people who don't like to read, when you might not like to read, well, then get an audio book. Or you don't like to read the words in the Bible, well, there's so many audio books where the words can go into your head, in your mind, in your ear, whatever it takes. Remember, self-care, mental well-being, it's a continuum. And that's a medical term, but I think that's such a cool term when you think about every day we have to reflect on how we can be better, how we can do better in all aspects of our life. And our mental well-being is the foundation, is the glue. We got to have that straight, or everything else is going to crumble and go to dust. Hope you got something out of this episode 69. Reset to reinvent. I want you guys to have a wonderful day. You may have to listen to this episode one more time, or watch this episode one more time so that you can grab some of the nuggets that I just kind of inserted and threw in there, because it's all about you. I'm talking to you and you over there too. I want you to do better. I want to be better. These episodes help me be better as well. We're all in this together, baby. Y'all feel me? Have yourself a wonderful day. Have yourself a wonderful week. Why? Because you deserve to be inspired.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent Podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final expense leaders.